Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? How everybody doing right now, man? How everybody doing today? Hey, what's up with it, Joey? What's up, Joey? Appreciate the stars, man. Appreciate the star. Appreciate Joey for the star. Hey, let's go, man. Yeah, man. We're gonna be reacting to some more creepy TikToks, y'all. Some more creepy TikToks, man. I'm gonna let people come on in. Let people come on in. How y'all doing today? How y'all doing today, man? Yeah. Yeah, y'all ready for these creepy TikTok videos? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, the one from last night, man. Oh, man. I had a hard time sleeping. I ain't go to sleep till 5 o'clock in the morning, y'all. I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, man. How everybody doing today? How everybody doing today, man? How my mic sound? How my mic sound? Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, sir. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. As y'all can tell, I got the new 4K webcam, so I don't, this, do I look? Does it look better? Does the scene look better? Does my video look better right now? Yeah, come on in, tap in, man. Let's watch some creepy TikTok videos, man. Let's watch some creepy TikTok videos, y'all. What's up? What's up with it? Anti Superior. It's going down, man. It's going down. How y'all doing? How y'all doing today? Yeah, some more creepy TikTok videos finna watch today. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, let everybody come on in. Let everybody come on in. I'm gonna give you about a couple more minutes, man. Couple more minutes, then we're gonna get this thing started, y'all. Give it a couple more minutes. I'm gonna get this thing started. We're gonna start this creepy TikTok videos. You know what I'm talking about? How many of y'all enjoyed last night the creepy TikToks? Was y'all able to sleep last night? I know it took me a minute to go to sleep. I ain't even gonna cap. You know what I'm talking about? Real talk. I ain't even gonna cap, man. How everybody doing today, man? Yeah, we're gonna get this thing started, y'all. We're gonna get this thing started. We're gonna get it rolling. We're gonna get it rolling and cracking. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, shout out to Joey for the two jewels. Yeah, for the stars, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right now. We're gonna get this thing started, y'all. We're gonna get this thing started. Hey, welcome everybody back to the channel. This the Goonface Family TV, and I'm your host to do the most. Goonie. Yeah, man. Today we're gonna be reacting to some more creepy TikTok videos, man. Is y'all ready? Is y'all ready? Don't get scared now. Don't get scared. Make sure y'all turn on the lights for this one. Hey, boy, I thought I seen something come. Boy, don't get me started, man. Last night I couldn't go to sleep, y'all. Man, I ain't go to sleep till like 4:30 in the morning, man. Scary, huh? Yeah, man, yeah. What it do? What it do, y'all? What it do, y'all? Come on in, double tap the live, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you can get notified every time I go live. Yes, sir. You know what it is. Let's go ahead and get this, get this thing started, man. Hey, yeah, yeah. Let's go, y'all. Let's go. Let's get it on. Let's go. Man, this already getting good. Hey man, what do y'all think about that? Y'all thought that was real? I don't know. It sounded kind of real though. I ain't gonna lie. It sounded kind of real from the people freaking out. But let's continue, y'all. Let's continue, man. Don't get scared. Let's go. Let's go.
This is the legend behind La Lechuza. La Lechuza was said to have been a witch who lived in Mexico many centuries ago. She was eventually caught practicing witchcraft and she was tried and hanged for her crimes. When she was about to be executed, an owl flew over and she declared that she would take over the spirit of an owl. And she did exactly that. During the daytime, her spirit would be in the shape of an owl, but at nighttime, she was able to transform back into a human form and seek revenge on the townspeople that had her executed. La Lechuza is said to still be a witch that haunts the country of Mexico. There have been people all over who have claimed to have seen her transform back into a human form, who have claimed to escape her, who have caught her on camera. And the tale tells you to stay away from owls, for one of them could be La Lechuza herself.
Hey, how many of y'all heard of the La Chusa? Hey man, I ain't gonna lie. I know I have. I know that's like a myth in the Mexican culture. Like when you a little kid, you don't want to listen. That's the first thing your parents gonna say. Hey, te va a agarrar la lechuza. No vas para afuera. Especially at a certain time at nighttime. Mm-mm. I ain't gonna lie, man. Hey, those lechuzas are real. I ain't gonna lie. Those things are real, bro. I see one for myself when I was young, when I was little, man. I used to go visit my grandparents, my great grandparents in Mexico. Boy, and I used to go over my auntie house. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And look, man, it's a long story, y'all. I'm gonna say that story for another one, but just know, la luchizas are real. I believe in them. You know what I'm talking about? And I know a lot of my Mexicans out there, they believe in it too, man. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
This woman is the most evil and demonic slave owner that ever lived. And if you're an African, pay attention because this is an important part of your history. This is Delphine Lalaurie, and she was born in New Orleans to a wealthy family. On her 17th birthday, she got married to a businessman called Jean-Paul Blanc. And as a marriage gift, the couple received a plantation of 26 slaves. And because her mother just recently passed, she received a plantation with an additional 52 slaves. And later on, her husband died, and this is when it all began. Delphine built herself a large mansion, and underneath she had a slave quarters, which was more or less a torture chamber. Delphine would literally torture and mutilate her slaves beyond human recognition. In fact, things got so bad that a slave jumped from a third-story window whilst being chased, because they preferred death over torture, and that window was later cemented shut. There was a report of a 12-year-old slave girl called Leah, and Leah was brushing Delphine's hair one day when she pulled a little bit too hard. Delphine beat her so badly that Leah climbed up to the top of the roof and jumped to her death. Things reached its peak when a 70-year-old slave woman set a fire to the mansion. When police rushed in to contain the fire, they found that this 70-year-old woman was chained to the stove, and Delphine was rushing about trying to save her goods. The 70-year-old woman directed them to the attic, and when they got to the attic, they saw 7 slaves tied up, each bound with spiked iron collars, and they were mutilated with deformed limbs. Some had their intestines pulled out by their abdomens. Subscribe to my newsletter for more content like this.
Well, damn, that's crazy, man. Hey, somebody in the chat said the story of Delphine appeared on American Horror Story. Hey, that's crazy, man. I need to go ahead and check that out. I need to catch up on that, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. Let's continue, man. That's crazy though.
If you don't believe in magic, then you must never heard of the Haitian Revolutionary War.
Now we got some stuff to talk about. Now this war might have been the most interesting wars in history because the French thought that they was finna come over here and colonize some stuff, but they thought wrong. Y'all want to know one of the main reasons on why the Haitians won? And it wasn't because of their mass army, all with the help of good old voodoo. Now voodoo was a prominent part of the Haitian Revolutionary War, and it has been used as a weapon in other conflicts as well. But during the time, many enslaved Africans were using voodoo and practicing voodoo, and this was their main religion. So voodoo became a force that gave strength to the slaves throughout their hardships and their sufferings. And by the Haitians winning and beating the Europeans, this made it the only successful revolt of its kind. And Haiti was the first country to be founded by enslaved people because they won this war. But let's talk about how they won. So in 1791, they held this extremely important ceremony, which was the voodoo ceremony. And during this ceremony, they did rituals and they made the people make a pact that they will fight for their freedom. And it was held by two extremely powerful voodoo practitioners. But y'all, here is the crazy part. These Europeans and French people, their teeth were literally falling out of their mouths. Their hair was falling out. I'm talking about skin peeling off. Like this voodoo was literally taking them out one by one. Like just imagine you got all these guns and these weapons and these people are literally having nothing and you're just falling out one by one. Like they were conjuring up spirits and everything, y'all. But this the part that they don't tell us about because I know they didn't tell us this in school. The Haitians was literally like using voodoo to like make like the European fallen soldiers like be on their side. So let's just say like a European soldier fall out or something happen. They could basically like conjure them up and to make them be on the Haitian side. So the people were like, what are y'all doing? But because it's really not the Europeans, it's really like some type of entity that they conjured up. And it was just a whole lot of crazy stuff going on, y'all. But that's why Haiti never been colonized. Like they really used voodoo to win this war and they won. But that's the part of history that they don't really tell us about. These people used their religion and their beliefs and their inner power to win. Like these people were literally enslaved. They beat the colonizers with their beliefs. And I feel like a lot of people don't know like the deep history of the Haitian Revolution because they don't teach us this stuff in school, especially in America. But let me know what y'all think about the Haitian Revolution because it is crazy. Like if y'all don't believe in magic, then just go look up the Haitian Revolution because voodoo was most definitely a prominent role and key role to the Haitian Revolution.
Hey man, you better believe it. You better believe it, man. Hey, that's like, one of the main things that they practice, man. You know what I'm talking about? Haitians, in Haiti, they practice that voodoo. So I can believe that they use that against them for the revolution of war, for the revolution war, you know what I'm talking about? So I believe it, man. I believe they use that voodoo to get in there, you know what I'm talking about? Get on them and take them out, you know what I'm talking about? One by one. Yeah, man. Shoot. Hey, let's get it, man. Let's continue. Do y'all believe that they use voodoo to win the revolution of war? Y'all let me know in the comments, man. Let me know in the comments. Y'all double tap the live, subscribe to the channel, man. Let's go. Let's continue.
I thought that this picture was from a movie, but it's actually real life. There's a man in a white mask and an all-white outfit that goes around the cities of Mexico terrifying the locals. And many claim that the stain around his mouth is blood. This is not an old story. It is still happening right now today. It started in 2023. Nobody knows his identity. All they know is that he likes to run around, dash between cars, and steal from stalls. Most people report that he's actually very, very calm and friendly and approachable. Others claim that he is actually insane and you need to stay away from him. The people that said that he is insane claim that he charged at them late at night and even followed them all the way home to their doors. Locals have compared him to the clown from the Terrifier movie. They're claiming he's the real-life Terrifier if people don't get this under control. With most of the locals just ignoring this guy, there's a small group, about 10 to 20% of them, that say someone needs to call 911 and figure out who this guy is. I'm also curious, who is this guy and why does he do this? And what is up with the blood stains around the mouth? Here's another picture the locals captured of him, and this is happening in the streets of Coacalco, Mexico.
Hey man, I don't think that's blood around his mouth. That might be some boo-boo. Hey man, say man, hey man, he gotta get that straightened out, man, for real. Hell yeah. Yeah, y'all double tap the live, man. Double tap the live. Let's go, let's go.
Trigger warning for this topic. This is a very disturbing topic. You already know in Mexico a lot of crazy stuff happens. People who end up getting in the mix of like the crossfire. There's also a lot of kidnappings, right? And a lot of people going missing. So now what I'm going to talk about is Las Madres Buscadoras, which is basically this organization of mothers, a bunch of women who gather up looking for their loved ones who have gone missing. And they don't know if they got kidnapped, if they got killed, if they're still alive, but they're on the search for them. And during the searches, they unfortunately find bodies, remains.
¿Quién busca?
A mi hijo.
¿Cuántos años lleva ya buscándolo?
En mayo cumple 2 años.
¿Nos puede contar un poquito de su historia, cómo se dio cuenta, cómo que estaba desaparecido?
Supimos ese mismo día porque se lo llevaron de su casa. Él estaba en el patio en su casa y llegaron y lo amenazaron 3 hombres con armas y le dijeron que saliera de su casa. Y salió él y se lo llevaron en un carro y no es definido pues dónde se lo llevaron y pues ya no supimos nada de él.
I couldn't help but feel really like sorry for
Damn.
them. Obviously, if you're in that situation where one of your family members just got kidnapped or one of your family members is missing, you're already like on edge. But I feel like it's even crazier if your family member disappears in Mexico.
Yeah, of course.
And now the creator of the one
Not that
specific group in Nogales, Sonora, her name is Patti. And what happened to her is that her son was going to work. They ended up stopping at El Oxxo, right? They were gonna get some water, some like hydrating fluid so they could like work. And then out of nowhere, some people with like weapons ended up stopping them and saying to one of his co-workers, yo, you gotta come with us. But since he was there, he ended up getting taken too. So he's been missing since 2015 and she's still like looking for him to this day. And then also there's another video of another guy on TikTok. He's also with another group of Madres Buscadoras.
En Tonalá, aquí están. Es difícil pues porque ellos están buscando a una persona desaparecida y el encontrar les mueve muchos sentimientos. Aquí no sabemos qué puede ver ahí abajo, hay mucho escombro, pero en la parte de aquí arriba, en esta parte de acá,
You're gonna see it.
les voy a enseñar nada más muy brevemente.
The hell?
Quitaron las escaleras, pero nos llegaba el olor, entonces ahí pueden ver moscas y...
Oh, damn.
What the fuck?
Hey man, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy, man. Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't never heard of that organization. You know what I'm talking about the mothers. But hey man, I don't doubt it, man. I believe that. You know what I'm talking about? Like it might just be the cartel, man. I'm pretty sure it's the cartel. I ain't gonna lie. I'm pretty sure it's the cartel, man. Allegedly, this is all for educational purposes only, okay? Let's continue, y'all. Let's go. Hey, y'all double tap the live, man. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you can get notified every time I go live, baby. This is the Goon Face Family TV. Let's get to it, Goon Squad. Yeah.
One of the most disturbing things about this whole David and Celeste situation is while this sick man was cutting up the bodies with chainsaws and all type of unimaginable things, he was also preaching about the Bible. Now, sometimes, not always, but sometimes when somebody becomes very religious, it's because they're hiding something very bad. Now, from the outside looking in, bro, you might look and be like, damn, bro, this dude's doing God's word, preaching about the Bible to his fans, bro. He's a good guy, but in reality, he's a demon. This is why you gotta watch out, man. Just because somebody has all this knowledge does not mean they are in a high vibration. Now look at all these Catholic priests. So this is where I get confused with this whole religion stuff. So you're telling me that David could just ask for forgiveness and he's going to heaven like that? Just like Jeffrey Dahmer, bro. Like, it's hard for me to wrap my head that if we're going by religious rules, all of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims are probably in hell. And Jeffrey Dahmer, since he became a born-again Christian, he's in heaven, bro. That just doesn't make sense to me. But I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think.
Eskimos are.
Hey, I don't think it really works like that, bro. Like, I don't know, man. You know what I'm talking about? You believe whatever you want to believe in, but I feel like you shouldn't be forgiven that quick. You gotta, you know what I'm talking about? Like especially for somebody that did a lot of killings like that. You know what I'm talking about? That unalive a lot of people. You feel me? Like, I don't know, bro. But excuse Excuse me, y'all. But who am I to judge? You know what I'm talking about? I ain't nobody to judge. Hey, everybody believe in what they want to believe in. It is what it is. Let's go.
Real. What? Have you ever seen an Eskimo? You haven't. They're Mexican people that have been deported from America. It's called Operation Muy Frio. Look that up. They're taking Mexicans here and deporting them. But guess what? They're not deporting them back to Mexico. They're sending them to Alaska. They're sending them to Antarctica. They're having them build cities, these things called cold cities. That's why they're called ICE. Holy Christ. You ever seen a Mexican in a parka? It's just an Eskimo. Scared yet? You should be.
Whoa, that makes a lot of sense. I ain't even gonna cap. I ain't even gonna hold you, man. I was just thinking, before he even said it, I was just thinking in my head, like, is that why they call them ICE? Hey, I can believe it, bro. I don't, hey, man, look. Hey, you better believe it, man. You best believe it. Allegedly. Let's continue, y'all. Let's continue. But that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Crazy work. Let's go.
This is seriously crazy stuff. Well, so what do you think? How long have they been bringing children blood sacrifices to that pyramid?
More than 1,000 years.
Oh my God.
More than 1,000 years. And I mean, and it's still going on today. I mean, there are still, I promise you, we have rescued children out of the most horrific of circumstances. And yes, there was pornography involved. Yes, there was all those things involved, but there's also too unbelievably horrible things that have to do with their blood and have to do with ritualistic, satanic things. And all of that is also tied into the Mayan culture. And it's been going on in that region for at least a millennia. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. So do the setup. Were you at the pyramid when you saw this being?
No, I wasn't. I had been at the pyramid. I had been there. But even at the hotel we stay at, there's a giant rock that has a giant's footprint in it. And it's part of the floor of the actual hotel where we stay at. There's giant sightings around there. There's giant footprints within the rocks. There's megalithic structures. And it's just part of the local culture down there. And the mythos of the narrative down there is that there are giants here. And I had really thought that most of that was just, myth and things like that until I actually saw one, and that changes things.
That explains why a lot of children are being missed, or going missing in Mexico. If you think about it, I'm just saying, allegedly, y'all. I'm just saying, you know what I'm talking about? If they still doing, blood sacrifices, with little people, then that explains all the missing kids in Mexico if they're doing it in the pyramids. You know what I'm talking about? I'm just saying, just gotta put two and two together, y'all. Y'all gotta put two and two together. Yeah, it's just for educational purposes. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, let's go. Let's continue.
Note that Arizona is considered a hotspot for alien abductions. It's estimated that there are around 12 to 1,400 reports every year of people claiming to have encountered extraterrestrials. Now, there was this man named Chris. Chris and his 5 friends decided that they were going to go camping about 30 miles east of Flagstaff. Now, him and his friends, they set off for this 3-day camping trip from Phoenix. And along their route, they find this small little convenience store. So they stop off to get some supplies. As they're walking up to this place, they notice this older Native American man sitting out front. And he starts saying some stuff, but it was in like the Navajo language, so they didn't understand what he was talking about. And he kept pointing to the sky and saying the same thing over and over again. So when they go inside this store, they talk to this lady behind the counter. And they say, who's that man out front? She goes, oh, that's my grandfather. He doesn't speak English, and he has dementia. And sometimes he, just says random things. And when he was younger, his brother disappeared, and he always has this memory of his brother being taken, and so he thinks that his brother was taken by the stars. So they thought, that's kind of weird. It's kind of creepy. So they get in their car and they end up going to their campsite. Well, at night, one of Chris's friends has a guitar, so he starts playing some songs and they start singing along. That's when they notice this strange star up in the sky, but it wasn't a star; it was moving. And they watched this star slowly make its way behind a mountain range and disappear. They thought, must have been like a shooting star. So Chris's friends decide they're all going to go to sleep for the night. They get in their tents. Chris decides he's going to stay out and sit near the fire for a little bit. As he's sitting by the fire, he starts to doze off. And he said that's when he awakes to this strange humming sound that was just repetitive. And as he opens his eyes, all he could see were these flashing bright lights. And the next thing he knows, he said he was in the tent and he was waking up. His friends were all asleep and he started to just kind of freak out. He started to panic. So he's like, I need to get outside the tent, like something's going on. So he starts looking for the zipper in the tent, but he can't find the zipper. And he's like, where is the door? Like, there's no door. And everywhere he looked, it was just canvas. Like, there was no zipper to get out of this tent. So he starts waking up all his friends and he's like, look, we're trapped in this tent. Like, something is sealed us in. But that's when they discovered somehow the tent had turned on its side at night. But everything was in its perfect place. It hadn't moved. So they couldn't figure out how this tent ended up on its side. And that's why they couldn't get out. The zipper was on the ground. Well, the next day, Chris starts feeling really, really sick. And he's vomiting. And he's tired. And he didn't want to do anything. So his friends say, you know, maybe we should go back into town. Like, you're not feeling good. I don't think this is a good idea. But Chris is like, no, I'm fine. I'll get better. Like, let's just stay. So that night, they go to bed. They're all in their tents. And at 3 a.m., all of them wake up, except for Chris. And for some reason, they had this very uneasy feeling. And that's when they started to hear these strange vocalizations. It sounded like some kind of weird language or chatter going on outside the tent. And right at that moment, Chris stood straight up and he started to scream. But it wasn't a normal human scream. It was something else. And they said Chris started to contort his body and twist and turn, and they didn't know what to do. Finally, they get Chris to wake up, and he has no recollection of what happened. But he is terrified. The next morning, they tell him, you know, we should really leave. We should get you back home. Like, something's wrong with you. And he's like, no. I'm actually good. Like, I feel much better. Like, let's stay one more day. So the next day, they go hiking, and, you know, he feels better again. But that night, when they go to bed, he starts having this dream. He said in the dream, he was out in the desert, and there were all of these faces following him, just staring at him. And he said he kept seeing these flashing lights coming from behind the mountain. The next thing he knew, he woke up, and he was in the middle of the desert. And he had no recollection how he had got there. So he makes his way back to the campsite. And when he gets there, his friends are freaking out, like, where did you go? Like, what happened? And he goes, I don't know. I just found myself in the middle of the desert. And they said, well, you told us you were going to go use the restroom, and you never came back. And he's like, I don't remember any of that. So right at that moment, they all hopped in the car, and they left. And he said he couldn't help but remember what that man had said about the stars taking his brother.
Man, I don't know. I think he was just yapping, man. But how do y'all feel, man? Do y'all believe in aliens? Y'all believe Arizona is a place where a lot of people get abducted by aliens? Y'all let me know in the chat, man. What's up with it, man? Hey, y'all let me know, man. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Do y'all believe in aliens? Do y'all believe this man was just yapping? It's all cap. Do y'all believe in UFOs? You know what I'm talking about? Y'all let me know what's up, man. Let's go. Let's continue, y'all. Yeah. Hey, don't forget, tonight is Wednesday night Rap Wars, baby. So make sure all my independent artists tap in with me tonight. You know what I'm talking about? If you want your music played, all you gotta do is donate. Let's go.
This is whole conspiracy theory, bro, that they were testing children, bro, for fucking psychic abilities. They would take them out the classroom. Most of the time, it wasn't even anybody that worked at the school, bro. And I remember that when I was getting taken out, bro. And then they'll put those fat ass white bulky headphones on you, bro. And they'll be like, you know, whatever side the shit rings on, bro, you raise your hands. So
I
you
did
hear the buzz at the right.
I did that shit at school, I think. What?
I was watching this YouTube video, bro. CIA documents that say that yes, they indeed conducted psychic experiments inside the schools, bro. And they said, one of the documents said, I quote, this is almost an exact quote, I think, if I remember correctly. Schools, especially very young, bro, is the best place, bro, to conduct psychic tests. So, you know, that's something to think about, bro.
How do y'all feel about that, man? I remember taking those tests at school, you know, when you gotta put them big ass headphones on and they, I guess they're testing your hearing, so whatever side you hear that beep at, you raise your hand or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I remember those, but hey, I wouldn't be surprised if they was doing some extra stuff. You feel me? I would not be surprised, y'all. How y'all feeling in the chat, man? Y'all let me know, man. Do y'all believe that? Do y'all remember taking those tests at school? Y'all let me know, man. What's up? Let's go.
The first people to have been abducted by aliens. Now let's talk about it. Now this is Betty and Barney Hill. They were an American interracial couple. And they're the first documented case of people that have been abducted by extraterrestrials. Now I did not say that they were the first people to have claimed to have been abducted, but they were the first that was documented, and they made this whole thing big. And this couple is the reason why people don't think that these extraterrestrials are friendly, and they're the reason that people think that they look the way they look, because they describe them to have big heads, flat noses, no ears, a slit for a mouth, huge heads, very short, and big eyes. So pretty much your typical alien. So the Hills was driving back home from vacation, and just south of New Hampshire, Betty claimed to have seen a bright light. And that's when she realized the light moved, and it moved like below the moon and towards the planet Jupiter. So while the husband, Barney, was driving, Betty was still looking at the sky, because at this point she thought it was a shooting star. And what woman doesn't love a shooting star? So she tells Barney to stop, and they got out their binoculars and they started looking. And that's when it grew bigger and brighter. And that's when they noticed that it was not a shooting star. It was an odd-shaped craft with multicolored lights. And at first, Barney was basically thinking it was a big airplane, because, they was just trying to make some sense out of it. And that is when Barney stated this is not a plane. So that's when they got back in the car and just continued driving slowly on this isolated road. Nobody else was driving, nobody else was around, because they was just a little nervous, so they just kept on driving. And that is when it basically covered the whole field, through the windshield. They could not see anything else. And he described it to have looked like a huge pancake. Carrying his pistol in his pocket, that's when Barney basically stepped away from the vehicle. And that's when Barney said he have seen between 8 to 11 creatures basically looking out of a window at him. And that's when Barney said they communicated with him and said to stay where you are and just keep looking. And I'm assuming they communicated with him through telepathy. And Barney said he saw humanoid figures wearing glossy uniforms and black caps. Then after that, they just randomly appeared at home. Having no memory of what just took place, having no memory of how they even got home. They just appeared at the house. So they said it was between 2 hours that was missing out of the time that they couldn't really remember what happened. All they know is days went by and they just kept having these horrible, horrible nightmares, y'all. These people was really scared for their life, and they were having horrible anxiety and just these different flashbacks. So that's when they seek some actual help. So at that point, they actually got some psychic help, and they actually went to the Air Force and all that, telling them about their story. And when they went and got their psychic help, that's when more of the story came out. And they stated how these creatures did all type of experiments on their bodies and different tests on them. And there was also something on Betty's dress that she brought back, the same dress that she wore that night, that several different labs has tested different materials and oils or stuff like that on the dress that they couldn't make out of it. And she even said they show her this star diagram or this star map, and she literally drew out a whole demonstration of what it looked like. And she said that they told her that that's how they get to time traveling through different dimensions and different stuff like that. Come to find out, it was an actual picture. The picture was actually a whole star system that's a real star system in the universe. And it's the 1960s. Who knows that? Who just knows that like that? Now, some people believe that this was all a hoax and that, none of this actually really happened. But me personally, I don't think that this older couple in the 60s would just come up with this. I don't know. And especially now that they got all this stuff out about all these aliens. And then American Horror Story also inspired Asylum about this. The interracial couple and the woman got abducted by the aliens, and they did all type of different experiments on her and, impregnated her. And then on another season of American Horror Story, the double feature one with Dwight D. Eisenhower signing an alien treaty, it took place in the 50s when all these different alien abductions was happening. So I'm thinking the 50s and the 60s was alien abduction heat. That's when a lot of the stuff that was going on for real, and it was a lot of weird occurrences. But let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think that Betty and Barney really did experience this? Or do you think that it was all just for publicity? Because people will do it. But let me know what y'all think in the comments.
I don't know, man. It's kind of tricky to say. You feel me? I believe in aliens, or something like that. Like I believe we're not alone on this planet. You know what I'm talking about? Or of course this ain't the only planet. So I believe we're not alone. I think there's other creatures out there. You know what I'm talking about? But I don't know, man. Are they walking among us? You never know. You never know. But y'all let me know what let me know what y'all think in the comments, man, the chat, man. Yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Do y'all believe in aliens? Was this cap? Was this real? Do y'all believe that in the 50s and 60s that there was already starting to run a narrative or already trying to run an agenda with aliens trying to put fear in the American people to control. I don't know. Y'all let me know, man. Let's go. Let's continue, y'all. Let's continue, man. I don't put it past the government, bro. I do not put it past the government. I'm just saying, allegedly. You feel me? For educational purposes only. Let's go.
Look what this guy had to say about the government hiding Nephilim giants in their military bases.
Greg Renrich, that was one of the things that he told me. He's the one that was talking about seeing the giants in the deep underground military bases. He said that one of the first things that they had to do before he was allowed to go into S4 or S20 or any of the others, they made him sign an affidavit saying, you're not allowed to use the name Jesus Christ in these underground facilities, not even if you stub your toe or anything. And he said that he saw 10 to 25 foot tall giants in these underground bases and said that they were, human scientists and other people working side by side with them. He said that they even came right out and said they were the Nephilim. They came right out and said it. Said that, basically we're preparing for an intergalactic war with God, and they believe that they're going to win.
Where are they getting this they're going to win from?
And why are you not allowed to say the name Jesus in these underground facilities?
Jesus said, just like in the days of Noah, so will it be in the coming of the Son of Man. During the days of Noah, the fallen angels and their offspring, the Nephilim, were influencing, corrupting the human race to live in sin. And we know in the book of Genesis, God says that the wickedness was so bad, he had to flood the entire earth. And we know God had to do this in order for the Messiah to come through Noah's bloodline to redeem us. The enemy doesn't want people to know there's power in the name of Jesus. Use your authority to stomp out that dirty lying devil in Jesus' name.
Hey, how y'all feel about that, chat? How y'all feel about that? Do y'all believe there's a real giant somewhere underground working alongside scientists? You know what I'm talking about? Ready for an intergalactic war against God? How do y'all feel? What do y'all believe in? Hey, I'm just giving out the information. Whatever you choose to believe, you believe in. You know what I'm talking about? That's on you. I'm not telling you, or I'm not putting something to your head for you to believe anything I'm saying or showing you. This is only for educational purposes. Only, man. Yeah, man. It's the Goonface Family TV, y'all. Y'all double tap the live, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on your notifications. You can get notified every time we go live or drop a new video. And make sure y'all tune in tonight. You know what I'm talking about? Make sure y'all tune in tonight for Wednesday night rap wars. You know what I'm talking about? All my independent artists tap in with me, man. Yeah, man. Let's go. Let's go.
I heard this story in Spanish, I want to say like 7 years ago, and ever since then it's always been in my mind. I've always wanted to translate this for you guys because the story itself is so crazy. This is called Exorcismo en Tijuana, and I first heard this by Relatos de la Noche, so if you know Spanish, please go listen to the story from them because obviously it's like 10 times scarier. Just a fair warning, this video may be an hour long, so sit back, grab a snack, and get your blankets and put it over your feet because this shit is scary. For my non-Spanish speakers, this story is called Exorcism in Tijuana. So there is many point of views to this story, but the one that we're going to be listening to is from the point of view of the doctor that was involved. So it actually starts off with a letter that this doctor is writing to his brother. And the reason why he wrote it is because he just really needed to tell somebody. He really needed to get it out. He felt like he couldn't believe it himself, even though he was there to witness everything. Just a heads up, there are also things that we don't know about this story because some of these people decided to keep it secret. I don't know how people got this information, probably finding the letters from the brother, but yeah, we're not supposed to even know about some of this story, so just get ready for it. Some of the names in this story are also changed just due to privacy reasons for the people involved. So the letter starts off with, Manuel, I'm writing to you because right now you're the only person that I can confide in with this information. You of all people know me, you know that even when I was little, I didn't really care much for paranormal or the scary stories that our family loved to listen to. Because of
Man, I hope this story is not really 36 minutes long, bro. To be honest. I hope it's not. What's the deal? What's up with everybody in the chat, man? How y'all doing? How y'all doing, man? How y'all doing? Make sure y'all double tap the live, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications so you get notified every time I go live. You know what I'm talking about? And like I said, remember, man, tonight is Rap Wars. You feel me? We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going. Please, Lord, don't let it be 36 minutes long.
this, I need you to remember that. I need you to remember that I wouldn't make up anything. I need you to remember that what I'm about to tell you is real and it's true and I witnessed this. I need you to believe in me because I'm having a really hard time at the moment believing in myself even. I also want to ask that you don't share this story with anyone. He starts to explain that about a week ago, he got a phone call from his friend Rogelio that he had when he was...
Damn, this story is really 36 minutes long, boy. Y'all bear with me, chat. Let's see what she talking about, man. This better be good. Damn, lady, this better be good.
In school, and that he should remember him because he would come to the house very often. Rogelio is now a radio host in which they talk about supernatural, urban legends, and things of that sort. Rogelio actually contacted him, the doctor, and asked him for a favor and said that he needed to not tell anybody about this. Long story short, that same night that Rogelio had contacted him, he ended up going to his house. When he gets there, he sees that there is a priest, his other co-host, and even his assistant. So they all have a seat, and his friend Rogelio is starting to tell him why he invited him over. Rogelio starts explaining that for the past few days they've been receiving calls to their show by a mother named Carmen. The mom Carmen is asking for help because she believes that her daughter Carolina is possessed by the devil. Neither of the show hosts believed her, but they thought to themselves, hey, this might be a good story, maybe we'll get more listeners, so let's just let her go ahead and talk. The host honestly thought that it was just like another person who confused maybe mental health issues with somebody being possessed, so they just decided to listen to the lady. They honestly thought that was the end of it. They weren't going to hear about this lady or her daughter again, but for the next 7 days this mom continued to call this radio show time after time. The more and more that they talked to this lady, they also got to hear the daughter's voice, and it started to become very strange because when they would talk to the daughter, her voice would change like if it was a completely different person, and then she would start to talk in different languages that they couldn't understand. As you can imagine, the radio hosts were very excited about this because this lady alone was bringing in a lot of listeners for them, so obviously they were entertaining her. They also believed that the mom was messing with them. They believed that she was getting like voice changes, but they didn't really care because they were getting the listeners that they wanted until the Friday of that week came, that is. It was Friday, it was around 11 p.m. and just like the days before, they received a phone call from the mom, Carmen. This time when they answered the phone, it wasn't the mom asking for help for her daughter. This time, it was the daughter, Carolina. In a very calm voice, Carolina tells the host that they're no longer going to be talking to her mom. Both of the radio hosts, even the assistant that was on standby, started to look at each other and they felt very guilty because they were thinking, shit, we were entertaining this, but what if Carolina did have a very severe mental health issue, and what if something happened to the mom? Like, they were thinking all of this in the moment when they heard Carolina talking on the phone. They didn't have a lot of time to think about that guilt because out of nowhere, the lights in the studio just shut off, and the last thing that they heard from their headphones were some weird staticky noises. Like, it was so loud they had to take them off. For a few minutes, they all stayed very frozen. They even claimed that the studio just felt very, very cold. When the lights finally came back after a few minutes, they looked at their controls and there were so many calls coming into their show. All of the people that were calling in were claiming that when the show went off air, all they heard on their end of the radio were really evil laughs and in the background just some woman screaming like crazy. The people were claiming that the evil laughing and the screams went on for about at least a minute. A lot of the people that were calling in were really scared, but other people were actually mad at the host because they're thinking that this is a prank and that they're just doing this to get more listeners, and obviously it wasn't a prank. Because of this, the radio host ends up telling their audience, hey, we did not plan this. This isn't a prank on our part, but we are asking that let's all have a moment just to pray. If you guys can just, stay silent for a moment, let's all pray about this, because sincerely, this isn't a prank. We did not plan this. They did go on with the show that night, but they made it a point not to talk about Carmen or Carolina or anything of that situation. The following morning, the show host and the assistant got together, and not only did they get together to talk about what topics they're going to be on the show that night, but they wanted to call that lady Carmen to see if she was okay. When Carmen actually answered the phone, everybody just, breathed a little easier. They ended up asking the lady Carmen for her address because they were going to take her case very seriously and see how they can help her, and the lady was really appreciative. Just as a side note, this show had dealt with things like this. They have helped some of their audience before, which is why they do have priests that would usually go with them. When they got to the lady's house, they started to apologize to her that they weren't taking her seriously every time she would call day after day, and about the phone call the night before and how crazy that was, and they were really worried. And Carmen just started crying out of nowhere. Carmen explained to them that she has not been calling the show day after day. The only time that she called the show was the first night that she talked to them. I have fucking chills. The daughter was calling, but it was the mom's voice day after day after out of.
Damn, that's creepy, man. I ain't even gonna lie. Hey, this story's getting kind of good, y'all. It's getting kind of good now. So basically, the daughter was still possessed, calling the radio station, talking like her mother. Man, let's continue, y'all. Let's continue. It's getting kind of creepy, y'all. Ooh, let's go.
Nowhere, a scream just interrupted their conversation, and it was coming from upstairs in Carolina's bedroom. So again, the doctor is writing this letter to his brother, and he's like, what these show hosts described to me that they saw in Carolina's room made me think that they were on drugs, because up until that point, they were still just explaining what is going on to him. He still wasn't involved yet, so he didn't know what to make of all this. The doctor, who again is writing this letter to his brother, he in the letter is like, I need you to keep reading. I need you to believe in me. This is just the beginning. We have not even gotten started to the part where it gets crazy. After what they saw in Carolina's room, the mom went running to get this pastor that lived near the house, and the show host actually left and called a priest that they knew in Tijuana. By the time they all went back to Doña Carmen's house and gathered with the priest, with the pastor, the mom, Carmen, was crying hysterically. They noticed that the mom's dress was full of red stuff. It almost looked like blood, and that the pastor that had been staying with her for the moment was covering his nose with a napkin, and he was also filled with red stuff. His assistant had also stayed there with them while he went to Tijuana and get this priest, and he said that his assistant was literally sitting by the door sweating so much, almost like if he was holding the girl in. The father, Carlos, that he had gotten from Tijuana, ended up walking into the girl's bedroom, and everything seemed very silent, very still. After spending 5 minutes inside the girl After spending 5 minutes inside the bedroom with the girl Carolina, the priest comes back.
Hey, she tripping, man. Let's continue. Let's go.
Back out and tells him he needs to go back to Tijuana, and that's where they took him, and they were waiting for him, and they noticed that he just kept making phone call after phone call. While this was all happening, they ended up going back home because it was going to take the father a little longer to do whatever he had to do. The radio host actually decided not to do the show that weekend, and they wanted to focus on this case. They ended up getting a phone call by Father Carlos saying that it was a proof for him to take care of this girl, but they needed to transfer the girl to where he was. Father Carlos actually sent 2 of his workers, and then the 2 show hosts and the assistant ended up going to the lady Carmen's house. When they got there, Carmen was already outside, almost like if she was waiting for them, and when they got off, she started to tell them that Carolina had been screaming all day, but that her voice sounded like a male voice. She also claimed to have seen Carolina floating above her bed in her bedroom. When the men walked in the living room, it almost looked like a tornado had hit it, and when they all walked into Carolina's room, she was sitting at the edge of her bed, just smiling. She turned to look at them and say, "Okay, I'm ready to go with you." They were obviously very cautious. They were scared that she was gonna attack them, but surprisingly, Carolina was very calm the entire ride, and they ended up getting to the church. It was only when they got to the church for Father Carlos that Carolina just started laughing. Then she would just start talking to herself like in a low whisper where only she could hear. Almost like if she was talking to somebody in secret, and then she would go back to laughing, almost like a child that was doing something wrong. So we're back to the doctor writing the letter.
That bitch was talking to the demon, boy. That demon was talking to her, boy, controlling that. Hey, that demon was controlling that girl body, boy. She was possessed, and she was playing them. It sounded like she was playing them. You know what I'm talking about? Like she was acting. Let's continue, y'all. Let's see what it's about. Let's see. It's getting kind of creepy, y'all. It's getting kind of good. I ain't gonna lie, man. I ain't gonna lie. Let's go.
And he starts to explain that as he's listening to the story, he's starting to believe more and more of what the show host is telling him, and he's also a little confused because he's like, well, if all of this is happening, like, what do you need me for? That is when Rogelio, the show host, explains to him that they took her to Father Carlos just the day before, and that Father Carlos has been with her all day yesterday, but that they need a specialist. They need somebody who can see her medically, and he explains that he stupidly agreed and even told them that he wanted to see her that same night. They all agreed that he could meet her that night. Unfortunately, the show host and the assistant, they had to go do a show, but that Father Carlos was gonna go with him to meet the girl. So he gets in the car with Father Carlos, and they're on the way to the church, but he explains that he started...
Hey, they said, hell no, you gonna do it by your damn self. We got a show to do. Hey, they want me to go with that man. They scared, boy.
To see shadows on the road. Like every time there was a stop, he could swear that somebody was standing next to his window and that the streets were just like eerily deserted. He didn't express this to Father Carlos, but he said that at one moment Father Carlos looked at him and said, "I could feel it too. I know what you're going through and I could see it as well." He says that Father Carlos just tells him God is with us and that's all you have to think about. This is where he says that he starts to feel very serious, because in that moment he was looking at Father Carlos and he's like, if someone with immense amount of faith, someone who is close to God, is looking at you with fear in his eyes, you know you're about to confront something very, very serious. They parked the car like a block away from the church, and that Father Carlos was trying to make conversation with him, but he just couldn't talk to him. He was so distracted. He claims that as they're walking towards the church, he could feel someone just breathing down his neck. He finally paid attention to what Father Carlos was saying, and he realized that he wasn't conversing with him. He was actually praying as they're walking to the church. He also noticed that Father Carlos was not looking at him anymore. He was looking forward. So he followed where he was looking at, and he sees that there...
Hey, Father Carlos was shitting bricks, boy. Hey, he knew what he was getting himself into. He knew hey, man. Hey, that boy was praying all the way up, walking, praying. Hey, that man was scared, man. I would be too. Hell, you gotta confront a demon, a possession of a demon, an exorcism. Hey, man, it's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. Let's continue, man. Yeah, man. Y'all let me know how y'all feel so far, man. Hey, y'all double tap the live, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you can get notified every time I go live or drop a video. And don't forget, y'all, tonight is Wednesday Rap Wars. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, sir. Wednesday night Rap Wars. We're doing it tonight. All my independent artists, y'all tap in.
There was a lamp above, but when he looked down, there was a silhouette of a woman standing beneath the light. Then he comes back to the letter he's sending his brother, and he's like, I don't know how many times I have to ask you to please believe what I'm telling you, but please stay with me. Keep reading. I'm not making this up. I promise you that this is real on my daughter's life. In that moment where he sees the silhouette of the woman, and he sees that Father Carlos is very seriously praying, he was about to ask him, like, what's wrong? And this loud scream just interrupted everything. That's when Father Carlos is still looking at this woman ahead of them, and he says, Carolina, is that you? and there was no response. That's when the woman that they were seeing actually walks across from the church, and then she gets lost in the darkness of the street. They finally make it to the door of the church, and when they knock, it took them a while to open the door, but when they did, he explains that there was just a lot of movement, like there's so many people in there. There were a lot of older ladies and what he thought were volunteers. There were also a lot of nuns inside there. Father Carlos went up to a nun, and I guess they had a conversation. He came back and said that the person in charge of Carolina is not there at the moment, that he went to go get something done, but that he could go ahead and meet her, but he tells them be very careful. He also tells them do not go in there by yourself. Do not go in there alone. I wouldn't even want to go in there alone. He explains how it seemed that people have been there like all day and night because there was food, there was coffee, like people.
All right, what did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss, y'all? Y'all let me know what's up, what's up. If not, fuck it, I'm gonna go back and look at it later on, but let's continue, let's go.
People were there in support of what was happening, and he started walking around and asked the lady if she knew where Carolina was being held in, and she pointed to this very old wooden door. She had to unlock the door for him, and when they did it, he could tell that it was like a hallway with a whole bunch of rooms in there, and that this older lady tells him, knock on the door when you want to come back out. So he was about to be locked in there with Carolina. He knew that he had to do it. He knew that he couldn't go back out anymore, but he also told himself, like, the devil doesn't exist. Like, you know better. You know, you've heard the stories. You don't believe in that. So go ahead and help that girl. So as he starts walking down the hallway, he says that he can hear a girl singing. So he started following the voice of this girl singing, and as he got to the door where he heard it, he said that he was about to open the door, and obviously fully expecting to see this girl singing. But as he opened the door, it almost felt like this song turned into like the sound of a wind. There was no girl, like no one was singing. There was no way that any sort of wind would be going through this space because there was only like the tiniest windows in these rooms because they were used to hold people in and not have them escape. As he entered the bedroom, it was completely dark in there, and he was waiting for his eyes to adjust, and when they adjusted is when he finally saw her. He saw her standing in one of the corners of the room facing the wall, almost like if she was a mannequin. Then he hears a sound coming from the opposite end of the room, and he realizes that she is not alone in that bedroom. He turns to look at that other end of the room, and he sees another silhouette which shouldn't be there because the girl is in there by herself. Everything in him wants him to turn around, go running down the hallway, and knock on the door to get out of there. He knew that he was already in there. He knew that he just needed to follow through. So what he
Nah, he knew he done messed up. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, that man knew he done messed up, boy. He done messed up. Walking in that room, he done messed up. Yeah, man. Yeah, he won't finna go nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. He gonna have to deal with it. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. How y'all put in the chat? Y'all let me know how y'all put in the chat, man. So far, it sounds like a pretty good story. They didn't make this into a movie, man. God dang. So all this talking, all this yapping. Oh my God, she's talking me to death, y'all. I'm talking about. Let's continue.
did is just walk right into that room and was started to walk towards Carolina. He wanted to meet her. He wanted to see what was actually wrong with her. He wanted to disprove the fact that she was possessed by the devil. When he finally gets to Carolina, he realizes that she's no longer facing the wall. She is facing him with a big smile on her face and her hand extended out like greeting him. He explains that something was not okay with her eyes because they were all completely in white, or at least that's what he sees in the darkness. Carolina wouldn't stop smiling and trying to reach for his hand, but then he starts to notice that she is giving him a sign, like trying to give him a sign with her hand to look behind you. Oh my God, I'm just gonna chill. Smiling from ear to ear and still having these white eyes, she is pointing behind him, but behind him is the hallway, so she wants him to look towards the hallway. When he looks down the hallway, in front of that locked door that he has to knock to get out, he ends up seeing the silhouette, the same silhouette that he had seen in the bedroom with her when he first walked in there. That silhouette now started walking towards the doctor, slowly, little by little, and at the moment, he is literally paralyzed in fear. He was trying to rationalize this, but he couldn't. In that moment, the door that was locked opened up, and it was Father Carlos with two other guys. That silhouette that was walking closer and closer to him walked into one of those bedrooms that was in the hallway. Father Carlos saw that the doctor was really pale, he was frozen, and immediately starts apologizing to him, telling him that she should have gone in there with him. Father Carlos tells him that he didn't want to tell him anything before he met her because a lot of people have been claiming that there was other silhouettes or like shadows in there with her, so he didn't want to scare him, but he also wanted him to experience her by himself. Two things were very clear to the doctor. People were also seeing the same silhouette that he has, and that the silhouette that him and the father had seen outside under that light post was definitely Carolina. So by the time morning came, they actually got a phone call by Rogelio, the show host, and he was saying that he wasn't going to talk about Carmen or Carolina, and a lot of people that night before were calling in because they wanted updates on the situation. They knew it was the right thing to do, and even during that time when all of this was happening, they stopped taking calls altogether. During that call, they were also told that two priests would be visiting Carolina in a week so that they could try to help her because they were specialists on what was going on. So basically they were approved for an exorcism. One of the priests was from Philadelphia and the other priest was coming from Chile. Basically all they had to do was wait. They just had to wait for those two priests to get there and hopefully they can help Carolina. The priest that was coming from Philadelphia actually got there a little earlier, but he insisted on talking to the two show hosts because he just wanted to make sure this wasn't a prank or a game or something that they were making up for fun. The show host also asked the doctor, the one writing the letter, to meet with them as well. So they all ended up going to like this house that they had set up for the priest that was coming from Philadelphia, and they were all gonna have this meeting. He explains that the meeting didn't go the way he thought it was gonna go. The priest actually seemed very open to everything that they had to say. They explained to him from beginning to end everything that had been happening, and he was open to what they were saying. After about an hour of talking about this nonstop, the radio host Rogelio actually paused and asked the priest if he actually believed what they were saying because they did need him to take it seriously. The priest was actually very honest with him. He said that when he first heard about this, he just thought it was going to be this like prank show about these radio hosts, and he was basically wasting his time. But that the first thing he did when he got to Tijuana was meet Carolina, and it wasn't even 5 minutes into meeting her where he realized that this was very serious and very real. Okay, I think I fucked up because this wasn't like the exorcist people. Basically, this priest from Philadelphia said that he saw the severity of the situation and had already made a call to the Vatican. And that's when everybody looked at him like, fuck, like this shit is getting real. The priest starts talking to all of them and he's like, you know, there's no coincidences in this kind of case. She presented to you for a reason. She made you get involved in this for a reason. And I suggest that you guys stop doing the show at least until we resolve this thing. Which is so true, because like, why would she call in pretending to be her mom? Why would she do all this saying, hey, my mom, you're not gonna talk to my mom anymore? Like, what is the reason behind all of this? She literally involved them. Now I'm like questioning myself. Why? Actually, I don't want to know why. I'm so scared.
Man, hey, I don't know why. Hey, maybe she was plotting. You know what I'm talking about? And it probably wasn't even her. It was probably, you know, the demon that had possessed her body, man. Hey, I don't know how y'all feel about this, man. So far about on this, man. What's up? How y'all feel about it, man? How y'all feel about it? Y'all believe in exorcism and exorcists? Y'all believe those are real? You know what I'm talking about? Do y'all believe that like whoever performs the exorcism, if they fail, they should be locked up or, you know, take accountability? Or you know, or is it all, you know, I don't know, man. I can't say it's not real, bro, because how the hell are they able to do all the things that they do, you know, change their voices, you know, look different, their eyes, you know, I'm talking about roll back, all white, you know, climbing on the walls, you know, like, how do you explain that? You know what I'm talking about? Like, how do you explain that that's not what it is? You know what I'm talking about? Like, it sounds like an exorcism to me, you feel me? Like, it sounds like a person that's possessed by a demon. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know, man, you know, it's crazy, man. You know, let's continue with the story, man. Let's continue. What's up, BLD? What's the deal, baby? Hey, y'all remember, man, tonight is Wednesday night rap wars. So all my independent artists tap in, you know what I'm talking about? And make sure if you want to get your music played, all you got to do is donate. Yeah, man. It's the Goonface Family TV, and I'm your host, the do the most. Goonie, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, man, let's continue, man. Let's wrap this thing up, man.
looked at each other very seriously, but they knew that they couldn't stop doing the show. Like, they all had shows in the morning as well, but the show at night, this has become the biggest projects of their career, so they couldn't just stop doing it for like this long period of time. Asking them to stop the show is basically like asking them to stop having a job. Like, they couldn't do it. They also hadn't been on air for like a very long time where they could at least replay old episodes, so they couldn't even do that. The priest understood, but he asked if they could maybe stay close to the church while everything was happening, just in case anything else happened. He also warned them that if needed, they were gonna have to be in the room with Carolina while this process was happening. I would have run away, bitch. By this time, it was Friday and the guys had to do the show, and this time they did open up the phone lines again like normal. Because of everything that was happening, they didn't have time to prepare any like stories to tell, so they were gonna need people to call in and share their stories for the radio show. Before they started taking calls, of course, in the radio show, they told everybody, hey guys, do not call asking about Carmen or Carolina. When we have an update, we'll let you guys know. So if you are calling, please don't let it be about them and let it be about your stories. They basically warned them that if they asked about them, they would be disconnecting the phone call. Towards the end of the show, some lady's phone call caught their attention because she had sworn to see like this woman with a white gown walking around her house at night. She claimed that this lady would look into their windows and things like that, and they thought that it would be a really interesting story, so they went ahead and pushed her call through. That's when they started to pay attention to the details that this lady was telling them. The woman that the lady was describing looked exactly how Carolina was dressed that day that they went to pick her up. Even worse, when they asked the lady like where she was located, this lady gave an address that was very close to the church where Carolina was. The weirdest thing though was that the woman was saying that this silhouette, this thing that she would see, she had always seen ever since she was little. That call accidentally dropped, so they still had time to take another story, and there was another caller on the line. When that last call was pushed through, both of the hosts were very quiet, very silent, because they realized that the voice was of Carolina. Before either of them knew what to even say, because obviously it's Carolina's voice, she then tells them, I will be seeing both of you very soon. So Rogelio's co-host Lino was the one who responded to her and said, yes, we will be seeing you very soon during the process that's happening right now. That's when Carolina responded to him and said, no, you'll be seeing me before. Oh my God. As soon as she said that, the lights started flickering, and that's when Rogelio just disconnected the call. They still had a few minutes left on the show, but Lino was looking at
Carolina standing on business, boy. Hey, let's go.
Rogelio like, we're ending the show right now, and that is what he did. Both of the hosts left that cabin. They ran into the assistant. There was also another lady that worked at the radio station, and they were all terrified from that call. They ended up getting a phone call by like the higher ups asking why they stopped the show before they should have, and they just lied and said that they were having technical difficulties. But that's when the higher ups tell them that like the whole show got disconnected when they got Carolina's phone call. So basically the last thing that they heard was them saying that, oh, this call from the prior lady got disconnected, let's pick up another call, and then the show ended. So it was much longer than that, you know, those minutes that they were claiming. So to them, they had been off air for a lot longer than they thought they had. They're very curious about this, so they went back to listen to what was aired just to see, and they were right. As soon as they got the call from Carolina, it went static and nothing was heard to anybody. After this, they all went home, but at different points of them, you know, on their way home, they all claimed to see this silhouette of a woman who was basically just watching them. By this point, they started doing the exorcism on Carolina, and they start to explain, like, you have no idea the process of an exorcism. If you watch a scary movie, it is nothing like that. It is such a long process, and the way the priests have to be there the entire time, and it's just tiring, it's intense, it's crazy. He explains how these priests are literally like tag teaming each other in. The entire time they're trying to expel this out of her, and when they get tired, another one comes in. It's like a never-ending process. The doctor explains that even he has slept in the hallway while they're doing this exorcism on her, and it's just a vigorous process. Again, he's writing the letter to his brother, and he's like, you're not gonna believe what I saw when they first called me in there. He explains that,
damn, it takes that long, man. Like, it literally takes days and days and days, you know, for an exorcism to be completed. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, like she says, it's not like in the movies, you know what I'm talking about? It just happened right then and there, and she gets casted out, or the demon gets casted out, or something. You know what I'm talking about? No, this thing is days and days on out. You know what I'm talking about? The priest had to sleep in the hallway and take turns, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like they were, you know, that's their job. Like, you know, one had the day shift, the other had the night shift. Hey man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Let's go. Let's continue, man.
He walked in there and he sees Carolina levitating in midair. He explains how she was just there levitating above the bed, and it's like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. So
see, that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you how do you explain that, bro? You know what I'm talking about? Like, how do you explain that? I mean, I know people is gonna doubt, you know, people, especially if they weren't there to see it. You know what I'm talking about? They weren't there to see it. But how do you explain that? You know what I'm talking about? Let's continue, man.
he knows that his brother's gonna have a hard time believing that, but he swears this is what happened. He also remembers one time where this really young nun came crying and screaming out of Carolina's room. The doctor was saying that he was there for most of it because Carolina was really weak at that point. She hadn't eaten anything, she hadn't drank anything, so he had to be there for a majority of the moments. He also couldn't even understand how such a fragile body could put up with like these things that she was going through. He also mentions that he is worried about the sounds that are happening in his home currently as he's writing the letter to his brother. Mind you, everything had already happened. So as he's writing this, describing everything that's happening, he's starting to hear sounds inside of his house. Out of nowhere, the doctor, Rogelio, Lino, the show host, they all started getting really sick. It almost seemed like they had some kind of flu. They were so sick that they couldn't even get out of bed without feeling dizzy or nauseous. They started to see that even the priests were starting to look weak. Even the mom, Carmen, was looking very sick. By this point, it had been a month. It had been a whole month from like the beginning all the way to where they were now, and Rogelio actually got a call from the higher up saying that his show was actually going to be off the air. They were never able to recover from this. They basically lost their jobs, but they were also very scared to even talk about this again. Even before the show was basically cut, they stopped taking calls in. Like they started talking about more of like duendes or like mystical creatures, but nothing of like possession or things that were happening to people. A few days after everything basically ended, they decided to go back to the church because they wanted to support Carmen, the mom, which by the way, she had been by Carolina's side the entire time. She refused to give up on her daughter. By this point, it was Rogelio, Lino, the co-host, the assistant, Father Carlos, the doctor, and they had already gotten another doctor from the US to come and assist the doctor that's writing the letter. They all decided to meet for coffee down the street from the church. They all got there and it was already late at night, and you could tell that everybody's energy was like down. A lot of them were scared, and that's when Father Carlos started talking about how people were starting to talk about what was happening inside of the church. Rogelio asked the priest if that has attracted a lot of weirdos to go to the church, and the father was basically like, no, quite the opposite. People have started to get scared to go to church. People stopped going to the misas, and even some people were claiming to hear screams coming from inside the church. Some people were claiming to see shadows inside of the church. So people were definitely getting scared of going. People started claiming to see like the statues inside of the church move, and that some of them were even getting dirtier than they've ever were, and they just can't explain why. In all honesty, he said that they couldn't see a light at the end of this tunnel for Carolina, so a lot of them started giving up and stopped showing up. By this point, they had all gone back to the church, and he said that there were actually more people than normal. There was a lot of volunteers, you know, nuns, and the doctor had already made like his own room in that hallway where the doors locked and where Carolina was. He basically took over one of the rooms because he was there so much. And he says that there was no progress. Like they had been doing this exorcism for time and time again, and Carolina was not showing any progress. So there was one day where the doctor was laying in that room in the bed where he had made into his own.
Damn, man, so what do you do? Like, what happens afterwards, bro? Like, if there's no progress with the exorcism, what do you do? What happens to the girl? Like, I mean, I think eventually she, you know, she gets unalived, I guess. I don't know, you know what I'm talking about? I ain't never done an exorcism, of course, but like what happens, bro? Like, what do you do next? Like when you did everything for like a whole month, day in, day out, and nothing is working. What do you do next? And then what happens to the person that's possessed? I mean, like I said, eventually they might get unalived. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about? Depending on how much they can take, man. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, man, like if you don't try it, if the preachers don't try everything in the book to cast this demon out of this girl, what do you do next? What happens next? You know what I mean? Like, it's scary, man. Like, real talk. Like, I don't know, man. Let's continue, y'all. Let's continue. We almost done with it. We almost done. Let's go.
Room, and he was just laying there waiting for somebody to call him, where he accidentally fell asleep and he got jolted awake by the sound of someone screaming. He also heard where somebody ran by his door, which he had the door open, so he clearly heard when somebody ran by. He got up immediately. He looks towards the hallway. He still sees that door is locked, but he doesn't see anybody else in the rooms. He walks to the end of the hall to where Carolina's room is to see what was going on, what was happening, and he realizes that her door is open, and that door was also kept locked because of what was happening. So he runs to the door to close it, and when he looks in through the window of the door, he sees that there's actually nobody in there. He opens the door again because he wants to make sure nobody's in there, and no one is there. He said that the only thing that he smells is like something rancid, like something wet in that room, but there's nobody in there. Carolina is not in there. He slowly walks out of Carolina's room, looks back to the hallway, and that front door is still locked, which means that Carolina couldn't have gotten out, and that means that she has to be in one of the other bedrooms. He immediately runs to that door that's locked and starts banging on it for them to open the door because he wants to tell them that Carolina got out. He says that he heard an older woman's voice. It could have been like a nun or a volunteer, and that woman was asking him, "Where is Carolina?" The doctor says, "I don't know where she's at. Please let me out of here." The older woman tells him that she's not going to open the door until she's reassured that Carolina is at least in one of the bedrooms locked in. The doctor turns around, looks at the hallway with all of those 8 doors, and realizes that he's gonna have to reassure himself that Carolina is in one of those doors, and he was gonna have to keep her in one of those rooms all by himself. He realizes that all of the doors from those rooms were the same as his door, the one where he was staying, in which none of them had any locks. The only one that had a lock was Carolina's room. He realized that not only was he gonna have to figure out where Carolina was, but there was no way of him locking her in a random room. He was gonna have to get her, put her back into her room, and then lock it. Before he even started looking, he told that old lady through the door if she can please go get Father Carlos or anybody else to come and help him. But the lady told him no, that she couldn't abandon the door. The doctor had no choice. He had to look room by room, so that is what he did. When he opened up the first few doors, he turned the lights on, and there was nobody in there. He was also having to look under the bed for her. That scary movie moment. No fucking thank you. What the hell? He went through the 4th door, the 5th door, the 6th door, until he only had one more room to look into. And it just so happened to be the bedroom that was right across from where Carolina's room was, where he could lock the door. She was in there. She had to be in there because she wasn't in any of the other bedrooms. He got the door handle. He twisted it very slowly, but when he opened up the door just like a little bit, he didn't hear anybody in there. He knew what he had to do. He had to very quickly open the door, turn on the lights, see where she was, make sure she was in there, and then close the door again, because that's what his plan was. Because he didn't know in what condition she was going to be in, or if he was going to be able to even get her from that room to the room where she should be in. He literally talked himself up. He knew this was going to be the scariest thing he had to do, like, in his whole life. And he opens the door, and there is nobody in there. It was all in perfect order, and it seemed like it was more of like an office than an actual bedroom, and nobody was in there. In that moment, as his back was facing Carolina's real room where she was locked in, is where he hears a strange sound of someone just breathing really loud. He walks towards Carolina's room, but he looks down the hallway and sees that that main door that has remained locked is now open. He obviously went running out of there, and when he left that door, door. He said that everything seemed very quiet, like there was nobody there. He felt like he was in a nightmare. He was literally running through hallways that were deserted. Nobody was around him. He started running towards the altar because he's starting to realize that he's hearing sounds coming from there of people screaming. He got there and realized that the door to the church was actually opened. He ran outside of the church and says that he walked into a scene that he will never forget. There was an old lady that was being attended to by these police officers in an ambulance. There was also other police cars just surrounding the church. None of them actually had like the sirens on. They were just like there. Like if there something happened, but it wasn't like an emergency. On the other side, he could see that there was a priest and a nun running away from the church, and that's also when he saw Rogelio's assistant walking towards him. The assistant was like dripping and sweat, and obviously the doctor's like, what is happening? What is going on? Carolina had escaped at the same time that some of the priests were leaving that hallway. When they found her, she was standing by the altar in front of where like the priest gives his sermons, and she was laughing and dancing and basically making fun of the people that were there. She was even acting like if she was the priest, like if she was giving a sermon to people. When people saw that, they knew it was Carolina. They all started running. Some of them went to where the priests were, the exorcist priests, to get them because Carolina had gotten out. It was total chaos. Some of them lost vision of her, so they didn't know where she was until people outside of the church were screaming. They sounded scared, and they knew that she was outside of the church now. By this point, everybody left the church. The co-host of the
oh hell no, that bitch done escaped, man. Hell no.
radio show, the assistant, the priest, everybody had left because they were gonna go look for her. The police officers that had gotten there were
Hey, appreciate that corn, BL.
also called there to go look for Carolina as well. The
Appreciate all the gifts, man. Appreciate all the gifts. Appreciate all the gifts and the donations if you donated or not. You know what I'm talking about?
doctor actually decided to go near that old lady that was with the police officers to see if she was okay, because apparently maybe someone hurt her while everybody was trying to run out of the church. And the lady said that she was doing better now, and he decided to ask her, was it you, the one outside the door that wouldn't let me out? But the lady was like, no, there had been nobody in the church for a very long time. The only person that was inside of that church was the doctor. The old lady voice on the other side of the door was Carolina, who had just escaped, telling him to go and look door by door, make sure that he locks her in one of the It was Carolina's voice the entire time, pretending to be an older lady. Oh my God.
Damn.
The last thing they told the doctor was that Carolina ended up running through the streets, and she was just laughing, almost like if she was triumphant, like she managed to get away. And no one else saw her after that. He explains that for a very long time, he was very worried for Carolina because of the condition that she was in. He didn't think that she was gonna make it. Without any medical attention, she could possibly die. He feels very guilty because he felt like he failed them. He failed the girl that he could have saved. He felt the mom that even after everything happened, she would go and walk around the streets of that church asking if anybody has seen her daughter. She would walk around with a picture of her daughter, and at that point, people would just ignore her. Not only was the doctor feeling tormented because he couldn't help her, but he was very much aware that now Carolina was just free. Whatever was inside of Carolina was just free to do whatever it wanted. This is where the letter basically ends, and we learn that the doctor, he actually passed away. After everything that happened, he kind of drove himself into drinking. He ended up getting a divorce from his wife, and he didn't see his daughters because they moved away from him. The co-host, his friend Rogelio, the last thing that they knew about him was that he moved away from the city and that he was still doing radio shows, but now they were religious ones. Father Carlos also ended up moving away from there, and the other co-host still remained in that town doing different projects, and sometimes he would go around helping Carmen, the mom. The mom also ended up passing away, and she never found her daughter. However, the story, it hasn't ended completely. Street vendors and sellers that work around that church in Tijuana claim to see a lady in white at very late hours of the night. Mind you, these people probably don't even know the story behind Carolina, but they still claim to see her around that area. I swear this story traumatized me when when I first heard it. And if you listen to it in Spanish, you know that it's even more fucked up. I started translating this story at 1 p.m. It is 5 p.m. I have been in my office for that long just to make this video. So please, if you like it, leave a comment, share it. If you don't like it, let me know so I can block you. I'm just kidding. But if you like these longer stories, maybe not this long, because goddamn, let me know, and maybe I'll make time to make these longer videos as well. But yeah, what do you guys think? Yeah, Carolina, dude, the part that fucking always gives me goosebumps. I think it's because I imagine these stories in my head. It's always the part where Carolina was the one talking to him through the door with the old lady voice, and it wasn't an old lady, it was her the entire time. Fuck. Anyway, let me know what you guys think.
Well, damn. Hey, man, that was a crazy ass story, man. But yeah, we gonna end it right there, y'all. Y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments. Go ahead, double tap the live, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you can get notified every time I go live. And remember, tonight is Wednesday night rap wars. Y'all join me tonight, man. Yeah, all my independent artists tap in. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, let's go, man. Yeah, man. Well, with that being said, y'all, without further ado, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here, man.